Give me a show of hands or a show of likes down below if you remember or even own the original Chrono Force app. It was released many years ago to the Magic market. I know I was one of the original purchasers of the app. Well, the app is now being re-released, and you're probably wondering why is it now called Chrono Force Pro and why is it being introduced again to the Magic market. So let me tell you exactly why that is by showing you some of the brand new and truly unique features to this app that turn it from a great Magic app into something that can achieve miracles. Frederick Bruckner once said that a miracle is when the whole is greater than the sum of all its parts, when 1 + 1 equals a million. Why am I bothering to tell you this? If any of you know me or know my work, you know that I like to approach apps very differently to other creators. So when Sammy came to me years ago and said, I want to take this app, I want to take Chrono Force and put it to a bigger market, I truly believe in it. I said it's good, but it's a fairly bog standard Time Force app. I mean, I have Tempest and there's a bunch of them on the market right now. It needs to have something special about it. It needs to have that miracle. It needs to have synergy. So we brainstormed, we talked for a few days, weeks, the weeks turned into months and even over a year or so. And what Sammy's managed to do is take a firecracker and turn it into a nuclear bomb for Magic apps. So let me give you a very basic, very to the camera performance of a routine that sort of encapsulates the synergy and the power within this app. In a moment, we're going to play a game for a small prize. You're going to win all the money in this jar of change. And let me explain to you what the game basically is. Do you remember when you were kids, we would play with a stopwatch in school when we didn't have smartphones, and we used to try and stop on the exact amount of seconds or milliseconds because we had literally nothing else better to do. We couldn't go on the internet. Well, I'm obsessed with this game still to this day as an adult, and I figured we would play, now that we're older, to see who's more accurate and who's got better pinpoint precision. The winner is going to win this jar of change. So let's start with something basic. We'll give you a little bit of a warm-up. Think about a simple set of numbers for you to stop on. Don't tell me what they are. Maybe you could go for your birthday. So think about the day and the month of your birthday as the numbers, and whichever one's smaller, try and stop on that many seconds on the stopwatch. Okay, so let's say they press start, and they think about their birthday, don't tell you what it is, and they press stop. And you say them, without telling you what the number is, did you manage to do it on the seconds? Pretty easy, yeah? Maybe have one more go, just to warm yourself up, because the third time is when we're going to go for goal. So they do it again, and this time they manage to press stop again on whether it's the day or the month of their birthday. So yeah, pretty good, fairly easy. One final time, this time we're playing for the big cash prize. Name a number between 1 and 100. Don't tell me what it is. Or you can tell everyone. Maybe they say the number is 73. So what you're going to try and do is this time we're going to make it harder. Instead of trying to stop on the seconds, you're going to stop on the middle milliseconds. On 73 milliseconds, the number that they name. So they press start. Whenever they want, it's a high tension moment, they press stop. In this case, they didn't get it. They got 13.35, so way off from 73 seconds. Which is a shame because it means they didn't win the cash prize. The cash prize, for anyone that thinks this is any mediocre chunk of change, we have 20 plus 10, which is 30, plus another 10, which is 40, plus another 5, which is 45, plus another 2, which is 47, plus another penny, which is 48 pence. Real life-changing money. They could have won that if they'd just been more accurate with their precision. What did they stop on? Let's have a look. They stopped on 13.35 seconds. It's kind of strange because 13 plus 35 comes to exactly 48. That's not the end of the trick. To the audience it is. But right now, I now know not just their star sign, but I know what day of the week their birthday was last on, what day of the week their next birthday is on. I know exactly how many days until their next birthday. I know exactly how many days their last birthday was. I know exactly what their birthday is, And depending on the two numbers that they chose, either one of them, I know the exact position in multiple different card stacks where those cards are, so I can force them in correlation to their birthday. And they have no idea. Let me show you a couple more of the cool features of Chronoforce Pro. So let me show you what's going on underneath the hood. First of all, I choose my change force. This is a personal setting that I've created, a little routine template. But what this is going to do is force the amount of change with the combined total of the seconds and the milliseconds on the third time they press stop. So if I show you, this is what I have here. It's the total, which is TO. It's not the milliseconds, although I could just have 0.48 as the milliseconds, but I like the total. Or you could have the full time. I like 48. There's my value 48, but again, I can change this to anything I want. This can be 34, whatever you want. But I'm going to have 48 because I have 48 pence. Then I force it after 2 stops, right? And this will be on the second stop. After the 2 stops, the force will kick in on the third. And you need to have it to force on the stop, the lap buttons, or both. And there's a bunch of other settings, but you'll get into them in the proper tutorial. And I can't wait to come back to recurrence mode later on. But anyway, we'll use change force for now. And what this is going to do is, the first 2 times they stop on numbers, they're truly unique numbers, right? They're just numbers that are personal to them. Then the third time they press stop, it'll force the change. But the first 2 times they stop, the first number they put in, are actually being recorded secretly in the app. So let's just say somebody was born on February the 7th. You'd say stop on either the day or the month that you were born. Go for the smaller one first. So they go like this, and they press stop, which just so happens to be the month. But I don't know what the number is. I just know that the smaller number is first, obviously. Then they press stop again. This time they're going to stop on 7. And what they'll find is that this is actually quite fun. This is a fun part of the process. A lot of magic tricks are boring, but it's also really easy to do. You'll never get this wrong. Now 2 and 7 have been remembered by Chronoforce Pro. What's going to happen now? The next time they press start, you're going to say them try and stop on the milliseconds this time, whatever milliseconds you like. It could be the year they were born. So I'm born in 88, which makes me old, and they can try and stop on 0.88, whatever it is. And they might get it right just by chance. They might be 48, and then you have a miracle, but the likelihood is they won't. Either way, they press stop. In this case, it's hit 22.26. You say you're wrong. You didn't win all of this change. And at this point, I could give them the change or whatever. It's going to be, maybe it's the last 2 digits of a bank card. It could be a position of a card in the deck. Anything. It could be a page of a book. But as they're counting out the change, you say, oh, how much was there to win anyway? That gives me all the opportunity in the world to do the peak. When this is so cool. So I triple tap the double button, the double dots next to the numbers in the time. And because I already know if the month or the day is smaller, because just that throwaway question of, by the way, was the month smaller or bigger? Then I now know that they got the day, see the DD and the MM. Well, I'm going to put the day in first because it's like the European way of doing it. So the day was the 7th, which I know was the bigger of the 2 numbers. And don't forget that 22 is the fourth number. So the day was the 7, the month was the 2. Really simple. I know they're born now on the 7th of February because the 7th February. I know that now. But I also now know that they're in Aquarius. I also know the P is the past, which means their past birthday was on a Tuesday, 106 days ago. Their next birthday is on a Wednesday, 260 days away from now, which is crazy. So I know the day of the week their birthday was, the day of the week their birthday is going to be, how many days since it was, how many days since it is. I know their star sign. I know their actual birthday, which is February the 7th. So that's, what's that, 6 pieces of information? Of them seemingly not knowing anything, that I don't even have a clue what it could be. And then the last thing I have is I can press stack, and depending on what stack I've chosen in my settings, I could say to them, for the next thing we're going to use maybe the day of the month you're born, or the day of the week they're born. I can look, and if I see a 7, then I can see that in mnemonica stack, it's an ace of spades. 7 in Aronson's stack is a 6 of clubs, and inside Stebbins is a 3 of hearts. So now I know 9 pieces of information from them just practicing trying to stop on their birthday, and then they forget it because you show them this grander effect, which is, oh, you stopped on, oh, you didn't get the time right. How many coins do we have there? 48. What was the exact time? Oh my goodness, that all comes together. The reveal is 48. This is huge. It plays well. And in the background, I get a sneaky peek, and I have 9 crazy pieces of information that I can use to however I want to at any moment. And the cool thing is, I'm not going to actually use their exact birth date, like the 7th of February. I'm going to maybe reveal they're an Aquarius later on, and then I'm going to reveal maybe that their card is at a certain position in the deck later on. Or I'm going to tell them that I'm getting this feeling that that there's a Wednesday coming up that's really significant to you. But I'm going to disguise that initial piece of information, translate it in a different way, and it's going to blow their mind. And the proof is in the pudding. So that's the first unique feature, and that's what I think really takes this from a standard number forcing app and really amps it up into something very, very special. Now let me show you what the recurrence mode is. In a nutshell, recurrence mode allows you to peek and know any 2-digit number that your audience is thinking of without you ever actually peeking it. You could be completely blind. You don't need any extra smart devices. You don't need any extra technology. You can be completely blind. You could even be in a different room and do this over the phone, and you still know the real random 2-digit number they're thinking of, and it's not a force. What if I told you that you could have a participant think of any 2-digit number, and you could peek what that number is without ever seeing anything? You could be completely blindfolded. You could even be in a different room. You don't need any extra technology, no smartwatches, no peek devices. It's literally the craziest thing ever. I will test it out with you at home. If you're watching this, you are a magician. There's no lay people that have made it this far into the video. So try to figure out, as a magician, how this works, all right? This is one of the effects that gets the craziest reactions in the real world. But I'm going to start and stop on random milliseconds, and there really is no forcing. Every time it's different, and they can keep going until they're happy. So I'm going to press start and stop, and in front of me, I can see a second amount, which is 1 second, but I have a random millisecond amount, which is truly a random amount of milliseconds. I'm going to remember this. I'm not going to tell you. And to prove to everyone that it's different, or to, at least to myself, that it's different every time, I'll press start and we'll stop again. And this time the number is quite a funny number. It's 2.69. That number is not the number I was thinking of, okay? And they can press start and stop as many times as they want. It's always different. But I'm thinking of the very first milliseconds, okay? I want you to try and figure out what they could be. I'll give you a moment. You can pause the video. Okay. If I was to ask you, take 69 away from 100, what would the answer be? The answer is 31. And that's how recurrence mode works, because 31 is the milliseconds that I saw. So what's happening is it alternates. When they press start and stop, they'll see an amount of milliseconds, in this case 3.61. I can now remember that number as the spectator, okay? But for you, the magician, what's going to happen this time is they'll press start and stop again, and they will read out to everybody the time, just to prove, and I say that in air quotes, to prove that it's different every single time. But would you believe it? The number that they're going to read out will be 61 from 100, which would be 39. So they'll probably like 4.39. So I press start and stop, and there we go, 4.39. So when they say, yep, the number on screen is 4.39 this time, they don't realize it, but they have told me the number they're thinking of is 61, because I just take 39 away from 100, and that's the number. And that's recurrence mode. You can now have them think of any 2-digit number they want. They can change their mind 1,000 times, and you immediately know what it is the moment they've told you the different number. It's crazy, and I love it. And finally, one of my other favorite features of Chronoforce Pro is the addition feature. And what I like about the way this works is that it's just so fluent. So the reality is I could have somebody, maybe I want to force the number 534, but I want to use 5 people to do it. And I want to work out a way of taking a number to force on each of those persons that looks different to each other, but also adds up to 534. Watch how simple this is. I'll press value, I'll put 534, I'll tap addition, enter. And I'm going to use, say it's this time I'm going to use 6 people to do it, okay? So I'll press the number 6. That breaks 534 down into 6 unique or close to unique numbers. In some cases, the number's so big that 1 or 2 may have to be similar. Now I'm going to press save as total, all right? Now, when I press start, I'm going to press stop, and you can see it's 2.12. I'll press start and stop again, it's 2.51. in my settings, my forces start after 3 seconds. So watch what happens this time. Press start and stop. Here's the first number, 94. Right, this is number 1. The next number, the total comes to 91, which is 4 plus 87. The next time they stop, it comes to 78, which is the third number. 5 plus 73, 78. They do it again. 6 plus 88, which comes to 94, which is the fourth number. The fifth time is 7 plus 74, which is 81. I'm not very good at maths, which is the fifth number. And the final number is 9 plus 87, which comes to 96, which is the sixth number, as predicted. If every one of those 6 people just remembers their time, their number, in this case 9.87 seconds, which is close to Usain Bolt's speed, slower than Usain Bolt, then all those people remember their numbers. You can now add all of those numbers up together, and the total will be 534. And it just seems so impossible. And it's the kind of thing that could potentially take ages to figure out on your own. And I'm going to force this number here, this number here. With Chronoforce Pro, it does it immediately. It does it instantly, and you can immediately start performing it. It's fantastic. It gets crazy reactions. And I think it's just one of the many features that you're all going to fall in love with when you get Chronoforce Pro. So that's it. If you want to see a full performance last year when I was a whole lot less hairy, a whole lot more fatter, then it's me performing to Kaylee on an episode of Fula where I predict the lottery. She loved the effect. And if you can't wait to go and get it right now, then it's available worldwide from only the good Magic stores. This is from Murphy's Magic and Sammy Ali. It's called Chronoforce Pro, and I'm so excited for you to discover all the other secrets hidden within the app.